We are live. What's going on, everybody? It's Sasha, your licensed real estate market expert here in Charlotte. Hope you're all doing well, and welcome back to the monthly Q&A. And as you can tell behind me, we are in a new location. The month of December it's literally been absolutely crazy. So I joined a new firm. I'm at Compass now, which you can see they're kind of cleaning up here behind me. But I have never been more excited to be at a firm, at a new firm. There are so many amazing agents at this company, literally like celebrity agents that I'm excited and nervous to be around. So I'm so excited to see kind of what this new year brings. But with that, we had 3.5 closings in the month of December. I say 3.5 because the third or the half my partner actually did for me, so that one I wasn't too involved in. I had a little accident in the beginning of December. As you can see right here, my dog and I were playing catch, ripped open my middle finger, and I had to get 8 stitches. So it was very interesting kind of being on the receiving end. I used to be a paramedic, so now being the vulnerable person at the hospital, getting stitched up, getting medicated and stuff, it felt super weird. So the whole month of December, obviously super busy. I had that little thing happen to me, and I just wanted to take a little bit of a break and just kind of come back very fresh for this month. So with that being said, if you have any and all questions, I'm live right now, but if you don't catch me when I'm live, you can go ahead and leave it in the comments and I'll make sure to answer it. But all in all, 2024 is going to be an amazing year. It's going to be an amazing year for buyers. It's going to be an amazing year for sellers. And with that being said, let's just go ahead and hop into some of these questions that I got on the last live. But firstly, I want to cover this. Greg McBride from Bankrate, he said mortgage rates will spend the bulk of the year in the 6% range, with movement below 6 confined to the second half of the year. So they're saying the rates are going to be in the 6s, and then towards the tail end of 2024, they might be dipping below 6%, which obviously is amazing news. Things were so sensitive as far as interest rates go. It felt like people were just sitting at their computer, staring, having their lender on speed dial, and any time during the crazy market when the rates dipped even a little bit, if the rates happened to just dip like 1/5 of a percent, it seemed like people were jumping on properties. If they dropped 1/5 of a percent, people were, oh my God, we're going to see every single open house. We're going to go look at 20 houses to lock in this thing. That has actually gone away, believe it or not. I feel like the boiling point for buyers, as far as the rates go, kind of hit the peak. We're not as sensitive to rates as we were before when the market was crazy. Think about this. Just a couple of months ago, we hit our peak interest rates of 8% and even higher, depending on your credit score, your down payment, and all that stuff. And now, with good credit and a decent down payment, you can get a 6.5, maybe even lower, depending on what you kind of bring to the table as far as your pre-approval. So we're down 1.5% from our peak of rates, and the market is still relatively flat, which is so interesting to hear because, like I said, we don't have that sensitivity anymore. There's people still out there obviously buying, and there is more demand for homes here in the Charlotte market, but it is nothing like it was. And like I said, we were hitting 8% depending on your credit score, and we're down about 6.5, what I'm seeing right now in a lot of the markets. 1.5% down, and nothing has tipped. And with Greg McBride at Bankrate saying, hey, the rates are going to stay in the 6% range, they might even dip below 6% towards kind of the end of 2024, I still don't see a lot of movement happening there. I think a lot of sellers will come off the sideline, which is going to increase our inventory. But like I said, it's going to be a very similar market to what I was experiencing in 2008 and 2019. I don't think the pendulum is going to swing either way, which is honestly great news for buyers because you can get a better price, you can negotiate repairs, and you can actually shop for a home. You don't, oh my God, this house just hit the market, we have to go see it right now, or otherwise we're gonna lose it. You can actually shop for a home. Now, don't sit around if you like a house, make sure to check it out in due time and things like that. But you're not having to rush anymore. You can actually shop. You can look at 4, 5, 6, 10, 15, 20 homes and actually still, get a home and not have to worry about these crazy situations happening, which is, amazing news. And for sellers, you can actually get off the sideline because you can sell your home now and move into a new house, upgrade, downgrade, whatever you need to do. And then you become the buyer, so you have more options and things like that available for you. So these changes in the market, me personally, I think it's a win-win situation for everything that's going on. So I'm very excited for it. Now, I'm gonna stop talking about rates because they can skyrocket or they can drop tomorrow. That's just something we can't control. We just need to make do with what we have today and when you decide you're gonna be in the market. Another thing I wanna touch on, new builds are accounting for just over 30% of home sales. New construction is accounting for almost a third of the home sales. Redfin is projecting that that is going to increase as well. And I believe so too. Just like the interest rates and things like that when the market was crazy. Do you guys remember people were camping out? There was literally people like at 6 a.m. sitting at offices that don't open till 9 a.m. to try to put their name on a list for new construction. There was raffles, there was multiple offers in new construction, which I personally never have seen in my career before. That is happening. Building, it's slowing down a tiny bit, but comparatively, it's, these communities are still being built. All these communities are still going through their phases. So it is a little bit slower because builders are being a little bit more cautious about what's going on, but builders have done such a good job as far as buying down people's rates, getting them fixed rates, and just offering them incentives. $5,000, $10,000, $12,000 in closing costs, upgrading appliances and things like that. So, and especially with the younger generation of people, the millennials, the Gen Z, I don't keep up with that stuff. I have no idea what age bracket is in what situation, but a lot of people want new construction houses. A lot of people want something that you just move straight into and something that you don't have to worry about. The biggest pro, in my opinion, to new construction, it's a new house. If you just maintain it regularly, if you get your HVAC serviced once a year, once every 2 years, whatever the case is, if you just maintain your house, that house should take care of you for the next 12 to 15 years without any major issues. Obviously, anything can happen, but a lot of people just want that peace of mind when it comes to buying a house. And especially what I'm seeing is the younger people or people that are just like, hey, I don't want to worry about these houses. I just want to move into a house and live in it and not have to worry about stuff, just the regular minor maintenance. I don't want to worry about any big issues. But the funny thing about Charlotte is we do have older houses, but we're not like, I moved here from Cleveland, Ohio. The house we lived in was built in the early 1900s. Sometimes when people move to Charlotte, when they ask me questions about Charlotte, they think, an old house is something that's built in 1980. That's not an old house, you know what I mean? So it's very interesting, but keep that in mind. New construction is going to continue to boom because there's still a lot of demand for new construction. A third of home sales is new construction. So I don't see this slowing down unless we see some volatility in the market and things like that. But again, none of that stuff is controllable. What is your assessment of the condo market? So I'm gonna loop condos and townhomes essentially in the same category. Condos and townhomes, like the rest of the real estate market these past couple of years, they've gone up in price, but they've also had a little bit of a boom. Reason being, a lot of people that were looking at single family homes that maybe waited a little too long on the sideline, those people started looking for alternatives, especially if you didn't want to sacrifice location. If you were dying to get into South Park, for example, and you were looking at single family homes, but you potentially got priced out, but you just don't want to give up the location. You want to be in this specific area. A lot of those people move to looking at townhomes and condos because you can still get, the 3 bedrooms, you can still get a little tiny yard if you have a small dog, but you can still get the square footage. Some of these townhouses that they're building, they're 2,000 square feet, 2,500 square feet. On the top end, I've seen like 3,000 as far as like the mass production goes. but that's a big house. You know what I mean? So a lot of people that didn't want to sacrifice location if they got priced out were moving into that townhouse or condo area. So my assessment is it's very healthy. The biggest downfall is obviously HOA fees. I mean, these fees on the low end, if you can find a condo or a townhouse that's like 200 to 250 a month, that's a very low fee. Some of these other ones that they're building right now are like $300, $400, $500 a month. And some of them don't even include any amenities, like no pools, no gyms or anything like that. They'll include internet, sometimes they'll include water, but at that point, that's just gonna vary by, each community in and of itself. Miguel, are there any new construction without HOA, or is there an increasing percentage of single-family homes being built in HOA communities? Miguel, there are some new construction communities without HOAs, but they're rare. They're definitely rare. I would honestly say over 90% of the new construction single family homes that they're building are going to be in HOA communities. And again, I get the question all the time as far as HOAs goes. HOAs aren't necessarily a bad thing. They're there to keep the value of your home and all of the homes in the neighborhood in line. You know what I mean? But I understand if you have a boat, if you have an RV, or if you just want to, paint your house all black or something like that, it can be tough to have an HOA. But for the most part, they're there to help preserve the value of the house. But to answer your question, there are some communities that do not have HOAs, but those communities are going to be small. They're not going to be 100, 200, 300 homes. They're going to be maybe 20 to 30 homes. That's what I've seen in the past, roughly a community about 20 or 30 homes that don't have an HOA, because that's just too small for a lot of these management companies to kind of take over. So they kind of don't even bother with it. To be honest, a lot of the ones in Charlotte, it's tough to find. You're going to need to go a little bit on the outskirts. You might need to go to Gastonia, Troutman, Statesville, areas like that, some places in South Carolina. But like I said, more than 90% of them will have an HOA, so just keep that in mind. I appreciate the likes. Make sure you guys are subscribed too if you don't mind, and feel free to comment some video ideas for me. I got some really good videos coming up in regards to new construction. For the people that I'm not working with personally, a couple of questions and things you need to look out for, things that you need to ask these new construction reps when you're going into these offices, if you're going at it alone or if you're going with a different agent or something like that. For the most part, they should know what they're doing, but I've had people use, there's been a lot of new real estate agents these last couple of years. I've had people use family, friends, and things like that, and things didn't go as planned or as well as, they should have, but that's neither here nor there. But I'll have those videos upcoming, and if you have some videos that you'd like, or topics or something like that you'd like me to make a video on, feel free to leave it down here in the comments, okay? How is public transportation in Charlotte? Do you need a car? I can long win this. Yes, you need a car. You 100% need a car. There's very few areas, South End, Uptown, Plaza Midwood, Noda, Dilworth. You can even go to some areas like Starmount, Montclair, and things like that have easy light rail access. But those first couple areas that I mentioned, those are relatively the areas where you don't need a car. Depending on, the distance you're looking at as far as the certain needs that you have. But for the most part, you need a car. I always tell everybody, unless you're living in Uptown, unless you know, hey, this is where my office is, I can walk to my office every morning, I have the grocery store right down the street. Unless you have it mapped out and planned like that, generally I tell people you need to have a car. Charlotte, I've said this before if you've watched, Charlotte is a fairly new city, and everything is spread out. Everything is spread out. Coming here from Cleveland, Ohio, I was used to having everything. Like, I'm telling you, I was just there for the holidays, and everything is 5 minutes away. I can walk to places, but I still drove because I'm just so used to it. But everything was 5 minutes away from me. I moved to Charlotte. Every time I hopped in my car, it was a 15-minute drive. Like, no matter what, 15 minutes or more. And I just got used to it. Now, I'm all over the place. I'm working in all different areas of Charlotte and things like that. So for me to hop in the car and drive 30 minutes, 45 minutes is nothing. You know, this last weekend, I just got one of my clients under contract for a new construction home in Troutman, and it's an hour away. It's a 52-minute drive from my house. And even that, I just don't mind. I'm just so used to everything, you know, being spread out. But if you're somebody that's asking that question of do you need a car, those areas that I mentioned, Uptown, South End, Dilworth, Plaza Midwood, Noda, those are going to be your go-to areas. The only caveat with that, because they have that walkability, and because that kind of walkability and transportation is harder to find in the Charlotte area, you're going to pay premium prices, without a doubt. This office right now, the new office, it's located in South Park. And on the way here, I was at a red light and I was looking at, there's this neighborhood that I'm in love with. It's a dream neighborhood. And I was looking at the map for homes for sale, and I was like $599. I was like, oh my God, what is this? How did I miss this house? And I clicked on it, and it was a piece of dirt. It was just a lot. So it was a third of an acre lot for $599,000, and I was like, oh my God, you know. So it's a little disappointing, you know, kind of when you look at it that way, but. You know, if you want to have that walkability, unfortunately, you know, you're going to have to pay that premium. So depending on your situation, work from home, office nearby, and things like that. Long answer short, if that makes sense, you're going to need a car in the Charlotte area. But 2024 Charlotte, man, we're going to have, I want to say there's like 6 or 7 big projects happening in the city that are going to be breaking ground. One of those is going to be the River District, which is on the west side of Charlotte, which I'm super excited about. But so we have a lot going on in the city. Yeah, June 9th, $300 million development announced in South End. I mean, jeez, man. New South End development will bring over 700 apartments to booming neighborhoods. 700 apartments. That is crazy. The traffic is getting, so you guys know by now, and I'm surprised I haven't given out my address. The people that I've worked with, when they ask me where I live, I tell them exactly where I live, but obviously, you know, being on the interwebs, I don't want to give out that stuff. But where I live right on the border of Matthews. I live in Charlotte. Zip code is 28270. And right there along 51 Matthews Pineville Road, there's been a big petition. Everybody in the community, I've been getting emails and everything, and they were trying to stop a rezoning, but they're going to be building like another 300-400 apartments over there, and everybody's kind of freaking out about the traffic, which I don't blame them. This is something I'm going to cover in another video, but I used to always say Charlotte doesn't necessarily have traffic. We have a lot of congestion. Right now, the teeter-totter is here. We have traffic. Obviously, you know, during the peak hours and things like that. But these past couple of months, these past like 6 to 8 months, I've been stuck in some heavy traffic. And once I get to what I thought was, you know, a car accident or something, it's nothing. It's people not knowing how to merge into a road. So, you know, we're teeter-tottering. We're right over that line now. Again, it's all subjective. If you move here from a highly condensed city, traffic is going to be a lot better. But I've had a lot of people that moved from different areas that say, hey, man, like the traffic is a little rough. But again, it's subjective where you're, you know, moving to and where you're moving from, I should say. Can you recommend area with good schools, low crime around Charlotte? Looking for a 3-bed house with sub $500,000 budget. Have to commute to Uptown for work 3 days a week. How long is your drive time looking to be? I'd be curious about that. The good thing is you're very realistic. A 3+ bedroom house, sub 500. I mean, you can look at places like Indian Trail, Stallings. You can even find, you know, in Matthews, for example, you can find a 3-bedroom house under 500,000. Just depends on what kind of condition you want. I will say a majority of like the public schools that are in highly condensed areas is going to be South Charlotte. Essentially kind of from Uptown, taking it all the way back to Matthews, to Indian Trail. You can even go all the way up to Waxhaw and things like that. North Charlotte, you also have, you know, a fair amount of good schools. The 28269 zip code It's always a zip code that I recommend. It has good affordability. It has the good location. It has what a lot of people are looking for. And that's why it was the number one zip code in 2023 that people were moving to. And if you haven't seen it, guys, I made 2 videos. It was like a 2-part series. The top 10 zip codes where people were moving to in 2023. If you're rewatching this, I'll put them right here. But if you just go on my profile and look at it, and you'll see those zip codes. But Submit, in all honesty, you can find a lot of places. Huntersville, it just depends. And as far as your commute goes, that 485 loop that we have, the highway, if you're on that loop or a little bit outside, you're probably looking at 20 to 30 minutes where you are. For example, Huntersville, depending on where you live, the location is essentially prime because you're just outside the city, but you're located right on 77. And now we have the bypass, which gets you to uptown Charlotte even closer. So, you can be up top in Huntersville, and it could take you 20 minutes to get to Center City, Charlotte from a place like Huntersville, you know? So, I mean, you honestly have a lot of areas to choose from. As far as you can even find new construction, there's some new construction in Concord that I was taking a look at today. I mean, you're looking at low to mid 400,000s for a 3-bedroom house, roughly about 2,000 square feet. So Submit, you have a good amount of options. I think 2024, as I was saying a little bit earlier, in the video before anybody got on, I think 2024 is going to be a very good year for the real estate market. But again, with it being an election year, I think we're going to have a little bit of weird stuff going on. But it's crazy. The rates from our all-time highs when they were hitting 8%, even going a little bit above 8% for, depending on your credit score and your down payment and things like that, we're at 6.5% right now with a relatively good credit score. We're down 1.5% with the interest rates, and we haven't seen any crazy kind of nudges. Like I said, the market used to be so sensitive to these rates, but now that's kind of gone away. Everybody got kind of fed up, and they're like, hey, it is what it is. So I don't see the pendulum swinging either way, as far as it's starting to be a crazy market. And one thing I want to say, I'm not on TikTok, but I'm on Instagram, and I see like what people post on TikTok, whether it be a mortgage lender, whether it be a realtor, whatever the case is. Guys, be careful who you listen to. Just be careful who you listen to. Some of the stuff that I've seen on social media, as far as people giving advice to people and stuff like that, or as I call it, blanket advice. There's certain things that you can use as a blanket statement, but every single person, every situation is going to be different. So when I'm seeing some of this stuff online, it's like, I can't believe this person just said something so stupid, Example, I saw a video today. This guy was saying the real estate market and the housing prices are going to explode in 2024. I don't know how you know what I'm saying? Like, how could you say that they're going to explode? They've already kind of exploded. Now we're at that little even keel. I just don't like that stuff. If you're saying prices are going to go down, I would say that's okay. You know what I mean? That's okay to say because you're kind of looking at something as a worst case scenario. But other than that, just, be careful what you guys are seeing out there. And always double check. You guys know you can always call, text, or email me if you have any specific questions. Like Sumit just said, thanks. We'll reach out more specifics later. Sumit, I appreciate it. You got my number and all that stuff. If anybody's looking for a house in Gastonia, in the 28269 zip code in Highland Creek, and even Concord, I have a couple houses that are not on the market as of yet, but they will be. So if you happen to have an interest, reach out to me and I can give you some more info on those. That's one of the biggest things I'm excited for this year is doing a lot of off-market deals and bringing a lot of opportunities for people. And I'm excited to do my taxes because we're gonna be we're gonna hunker down on buying a house this year, my wife and I, and an investment property. Funny enough, my lender might be watching, so she's probably licking her chops. But for me, everything that I'm looking for, I would like to stay under 600,000, 600,000 and under. But every single home that I've seen that I like is 675 to 725. Obviously, I can always go higher, but 675 to 725 is like my sweet spot. So I don't know how patient I could be. And I was actually going to go to an open house for this house that was listed mid-century modern at 685. And my wife and I were going to go to the open house just because I'm kind of dragging with that stuff. But ended up selling at that open house. But I'm even scared to look at houses kind of in that price range because I feel a lot more comfortable at six and under. But man, I mean, everything I like is just in that 675 to 725 range. It's killing me. But yeah, who knows? If it's something I can see myself living in for, it's always going to be a minimum of like 10 years, but 15, 20, I might just go ahead and pull the trigger. As far as prices goes, long term, I mean, I'm not worried about any of that stuff. And what did I just posted something on my Instagram QC home group, and a majority of millennials are buying houses for their dogs. Instead, the dogs outrank, I think it was like family and kids or something like that, which is crazy. But I agree. Listen, I have a dog, and every time my wife and I talk about buying a house, we're like, hey, we need a yard for Luna. It's kind of it's just so funny how things are swinging as far as that stuff goes. And I don't know if you guys heard the greatest real estate correction in my lifetime, said Grant Cardone, is going to happen. But just so you guys know, if you just read the headline on that, it's he's talking about commercial real estate. I have no idea about the commercial space, and I've had a bunch of people ask me if I do commercial. I don't, but I know a really great commercial real estate agent. So if you ever need help with that, reach out to me. I'll get you connected with them, no problem. Let's see, Miguel. You said there was a premium in Noda Plaza Midwood. Walkability is something I'm prioritizing. Any other neighborhoods you can recommend? Walkability. South End, Uptown, Dilworth, Myers Park, Chantilly. But again, these are all like high premium neighborhoods. Let me see here. And Miguel, you're looking at new construction. I mean, I don't know what your price point is. You can find the new construction there, but a lot of those areas there, I mean, the lots that they're selling in these areas are $400,000 or $500,000 for a tear down house, or just a piece of dirt for somebody to build, a new construction. You could take a look at Oakhurst as well. It has walkability, but it's not like a South End or anything like that. But you have this giant plaza that they just keep stacking and stacking and stacking on, which is making that area of Oakhurst a lot more desirable. Doesn't need to be new construction. Yeah, Miguel, I'd recommend, those are really the only areas, man. Uptown, South End, Myers Park, Dilworth, Plaza Midwood, Noda, Matthews. I guess if you're close to downtown Matthews, you can have some walkability. Other than that, I mean, it's very, very slim. It's very, very slim for the walkability. Submit, I've heard people say they are going to get a mortgage at 7%, but will refinance. Isn't it like refinancing applies to only the equity you have in the house and not the whole property value? Thank you. Thank you. This is one of those, stop listening to some people that don't know what they're talking about. I hate the saying, marry the house, date the rate. In order to refinance, you have to have equity in the home. If you're someone that's putting down 3%, 5%, you might not be able to refinance. It's not just that easy to call the bank and say, hey, I have to refinance. A majority of the people that are able to refinance, you're gonna need 20% or more in equity in order to refinance your rate. A lot of people don't know this, and this is like, when I work with people directly, I tell them this, and especially when I go to like a new construction community, when the rates were high, a lot of the reps and stuff, oh, you just refinance later, just refinance later. You cannot refinance unless you have a decent amount of equity in the house. So there's so many people There's so many. I don't know personally, but I know for a fact that there's so many people out there that put down 3%. Some of them even use VA loans where it's a 0% down payment, and they're getting guided by whatever, the news, social media, whatever, saying you could just refinance anytime. You can't, guys. You cannot refinance anytime. You need to have equity in the house. Talk to a lender to get a little bit more clarification and see the type of equity you can get. A lot of people that purchased, a year, 2, 3 years ago that have equity, if you bought a house for 400,000 2 years ago and today it's worth 500,000, that, yes, you can refinance because you have equity in that house, that equity built up. But a lot of people that bought within the last year or so, you still have some equity because house prices have been going up a little bit. And obviously it depends on area and things like that. But it's not that easy, just refinance. You need to have a certain amount of equity. So make sure you talk to the lender. Make sure you talk to a lender that might be doing your loan and say, hey, what's the stipulation on this refinance? Now, if you buy a house, for example, that needs renovations, you buy a house that it's built in 1990, it's all original. You redo the kitchen, you redo the bathrooms, you redo the flooring, you redo the paint. You put money into that house. Hopefully, you have built-in equity from your sweat equity and you're able to refinance. But if you buy a house, if you bought a house within the last year, if you put down 3% down payment or something, chances are if you wanted to refinance right now, you might not be able to, or you most likely might not be able to because you don't have enough equity to do so, but I'm so happy you asked that question because not a lot of people know. Obviously, when I work with people and things like that, I inform them of this stuff, but it's just one of those things. But I mean, amazing question, and that question alone, the world needs to hear because so many people are getting misguided when looking into buying their houses and things like that with stupid sayings like marry the house, date the rate. Yeah, some of these articles that like Goldman Sachs has been coming out with and JP Morgan Chase, it's so interesting to read. I don't take it into too much consideration because like I said, the things with the rates and stuff like that, it's we don't know what's going to happen. It can drop tomorrow by 1%, by 2%. I don't think it will, but anything can happen nowadays. After what we've seen these past couple of years, nothing surprises me in the real estate market, in the stock market, any of these markets. Nothing surprises me. I love the fact that they say, "Hey, inflation is under control. We're getting inflation down." But every time I go to the grocery store, buy the same stuff, it seems like it keeps going up. But you guys have heard probably so many people talk about all that stuff. So it's interesting, but I'm excited. A lot of people took advantage of these last couple of months. Probably like my favorite time as far as like real estate goes for buying, as soon as we hit September, as soon as we hit kind of that tail end of September, as soon as we start heading into fall, I love that all the way up to like the end of February. I love that season, man. Oh my goodness. I've been able to help. I've just been able to get some really good deals, really good concessions and things like that these past couple months. And I'm looking forward to doing that these next 2 months. And then we'll see what the spring and summer market has in store. But we're going to see a lot more inventory, I think, pop up as opposed to the last couple of years in the spring or summer. I don't think anything crazy, but I think it's just going to be relatively, it's just going to be nice. I think it's going to be good for buyers and sellers. Sellers will have that opportunity to finally list their house and move into something else that they've been waiting to do so, but they couldn't because the rates were too high. There wasn't enough houses to choose from. Everything was so stringent. You had to like rush to buy a house and things. We're done with those days. As I mentioned in my last market report, the market we're in today reminds me of 2018, 2019, which is phenomenal. Sumit, where can I find MLS data? I'm interested in crunching numbers to identify trends in the areas and price range I'm interested in. So Sumit, you won't be able to actually get like the MLS data that I have because I'm a member of the MLS. But if you want to email me a couple zip codes, or even if you want to do the exact neighborhoods or subdivision name, just tell me what you want. If you want median price point, if you want average price point, I can get those PDFs over to you. I'm a numbers. I was horrible at math, but I'm a numbers guy when it comes to real estate. So if you have a certain zip code or a certain subdivision or something like that in mind, or if you want me to, pull up some information right now while I'm live, I'm happy to do so. But I can send you all that stuff in a PDF. When I look at MLS, it shows us the last 10 years. So hopefully that'll be good enough. In order to get more than 10 years, I need to reach out to, the MLS department and ask them to kind of print it out for me. But yeah, if you have a certain subdivision or zip code, send me an email, and I'll email all that stuff over to you. It won't be a problem for me to do so. I'd be happy to take a look. All right, I don't see any other questions coming in, guys. I appreciate you for tuning in. As always, if there's anything I can ever do for you, questions, comments, concerns, call, text, or email me. I am going to. The market report's going to be coming out. Not this coming Tuesday, but the next Tuesday. So the market data should be coming out by the 10th. So all the stats and things like that we're going to be going over. So make sure you guys watch that stuff. And again, just reach out to me. Submit, thanks. I'm just getting started on my search. Good to know the data is accessible. Yes, don't hesitate to reach out. There's so many people that, I'm looking to move in a year, or I just didn't feel like reaching out. Just reach out to me. Have that conversation. Other than that, guys, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, and call, text, or email me anytime, and I'll catch you on the next one. Take care. Bye.